Imagine the final moments in the life of one of the most well-known monarchs of our time, Queen Elizabeth II. These were hours filled with quiet drama and unexpected revelations as her family faced the inevitable loss. It's a story of love, duty, and determination to maintain greatness until the very last breath. Don't miss the chance to dive into these significant moments that will forever hold a place in history, and discover why Kate Middleton is often compared to this remarkable woman. Robert Hardman, in his book Charles III, The New King, The New Court, describes in detail the last hours of Queen Elizabeth II's life and the events that unfolded after her passing. Just as a reminder, in July 2022, Boris Johnson resigned as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. The Queen understood the importance of a swift and clear transfer of power, which she viewed as a top priority. Elizabeth considered the possibility of personally participating in the leadership transition process in London, finding it more practical than sending two busy politicians to Scotland, which was a distance from the political centers. However, by the end of August, her position had changed. Doctors also concluded that such a trip would be too demanding for her. While she intended to return to London, and the possibility of her staying in Scotland was actively discussed, the issue sparked numerous discussions. The Queen's private secretary, Sir Edward Young, in collaboration with the Royal Medical Household and the Cabinet Secretary Simon Yome, along with consultations with the Prime Minister, decided that Boris Johnson and Liz Truss would visit the Queen in Balmoral. 2 days before her passing, Elizabeth insisted on a standing meeting with the politicians. These moments were captured in photographs, marking her last public appearances. Boris Johnson spent 15 minutes with her and was struck by her composure and cheerfulness, despite her apparent frailty. After speaking with Johnson, she met with Liz Truss. Truss later recalled the moment, describing the Queen as strong and spirited, despite her condition. She was fully aware, and I felt that she was reassured knowing that everything was done correctly. Later that day, one of the Queen's horses, Love Room, won a race at Goodwood, bringing her particular joy given her fondness for horse racing. According to Liz Truss, the Queen's health was becoming a serious concern. Everyone understood that the situation could become critical at any moment. As soon as Truss took office, she was introduced to the planned London Bridge. The staff remembers that day as especially memorable. The Queen was in high spirits, reflecting on all the prime ministers she had dealt with during her reign. In the evening, she decided to retire and dine alone upstairs, which was the last occasion she was seen. On the morning of the 7th of September, the Queen's health suddenly deteriorated, and she couldn't get out of bed. Princess Anne, along with her son Peter Phillips, the Queen's eldest grandson, happened to be present at the residence when Elizabeth announced she would spend the day in bed. This was highly unusual for her. The local doctor, Dr. Douglas Glass, was urgently summoned to examine her. Elizabeth II still planned to participate via video call in the Privy Council meeting, understanding its importance in light of the government change. Queen Elizabeth II was fully aware of how crucial the upcoming Privy Council meeting was, where new cabinet ministers and councillors were to be presented. Due to her condition, Palace Services organized audio links to ensure her participation from her bedroom. In London, a connection with Balmoral was set up, and all the Privy Councillors lined up outside the conference room on Downing Street. However, just a few minutes before the session was set to begin, a message came from her doctors that the Queen would not be able to participate. At that time, Princess Anne was on the phone with her elder brother, who was at the other end of Scotland, participating in charity events at Dumfries House in Ayrshire. He remained in constant touch, receiving updated information about the Queen's condition, and later recalled, "I think he knew more about our mother's health than the rest of us." Although there were no immediate signs of deterioration at Balmoral, Prince Charles faced the difficult decision of whether to continue his commitments or rush to his mother's side. On the morning of the 8th of September 2022, this decision weighed heavily on him, as past declines in the Queen's health sometimes ended in her recovery. Nevertheless, by the evening of the 7th of September, both Princess Anne and Prince Charles's private secretary, Sir Clive Alderton, advised Prince Charles to be prepared. The following morning, Princess Anne again spoke to Prince Charles, strongly recommending he arrive immediately. At around 9:30 in the morning, Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall, along with a small team including Alderton, the Deputy Private Secretary of the Duchess, and a protection officer, boarded a helicopter. During the hour-long flight, the prince began reviewing the London Bridge plan, while his private secretaries ensured morning attire was ready. Later, during breakfast, the Queen's stable manager contacted Prince William's private secretary to inform him that the Queen had experienced a difficult night and that the prince should head to Balmoral. Prince Charles then personally called his siblings and his 2 sons, advising everyone to come at once. Around 10:30 in the morning, the Duke and Duchess of Rothesay, as they are known in Scotland, arrived by helicopter at Birkhall, their residence on the Balmoral estate. Prince Charles took the wheel of a Land Rover, and they drove to the castle, where they were met by Princess Anne. The Queen greeted them in her bedroom, and it became clear that the situation was critical. At about 12:32, Buckingham Palace issued a press bulletin to major UK media agencies, stating that doctors were concerned for Her Majesty's health and had recommended that she remain under medical supervision. The Queen remained in the comfort of her residence at Balmoral. Meanwhile, the entire royal family began gathering at her bedside. This included the arrival of figures such as Harry, Meghan, and Catherine, whose story deserves separate attention and will be covered in other materials. The Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall gave the Queen a chance to rest under the watch of Princess Anne, her special assistant Angela Kelly, and Reverend Kenneth Mackenzie, who read passages from the Bible to her. Everyone believed there was still time, although they understood her condition was far from optimal. The doctor was not with her constantly, but everyone was prepared for further developments. Prince Charles was on the grounds of Birkhall, foraging for mushrooms and reflecting on current events. Time proved to be precious when an urgent call came from Princess Anne, strongly urging him to return immediately. This happened at the same time Dr. Glass received an immediate directive to return to Balmoral. Alongside Camilla, Prince Charles quickly got into the car and headed to his mother's side. When Dr. Glass reached the Queen's bedroom, he found that Elizabeth II was no longer breathing. Edward Young stood by the door, waiting for confirmation of the worst fears. Dr. Glass coordinated the time of death with Sir Edward, who recorded the sequence of events for the records. These entries are now preserved in the Royal Archive, reflecting how peacefully the Queen passed away in her sleep. The time of her death was recorded as 3:01 in the afternoon. According to reports, she did not suffer, leaving this world in a remarkably peaceful manner. During an urgent call, Charles, still driving, was stunned by the news that caught him off guard. He was asked to stop, and he pulled over to the side of the estate's road. For the first time, he heard the address, "Your Majesty." No additional explanation was needed. "We're almost there," the new monarch quietly replied when his companions expressed their condolences. Within minutes, he arrived at the castle, where Princess Anne greeted him, already addressing him as king. Sir Edward Young, with many years of experience as a high-ranking court official, hurried through the castle to personally greet the new king and queen. Following age-old constitutional ritual, Sir Edward had prepared meticulously for this duty. His colleagues noted that for months, he avoided all overseas travel and even subway rides to remain in contact for this crucial moment in his career. Charles was deeply moved, placing a hand on Edward's shoulder and saying, "I know how much you will miss her and how faithfully you served her." After this, Sir Edward posed the first question traditionally asked of a new monarch: under what name he would rule. The next question concerned permission to inform the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, on her third day in office, Liz Truss was making a statement in the House of Commons about the upcoming rise in fuel prices. At that moment, she was alerted by Nadim Zahawi, the newly appointed Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, who brought a note with the main news from Balmoral about the Queen's declining condition. Understanding the seriousness of the situation, she immediately left the event and ended her participation in a telephone conference with the leaders of the G7 countries, including U.S. President Joe Biden. People gradually started to comprehend what was happening. King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla went to the bedside of the departed queen to say their final goodbyes and gather strength for the tasks ahead. Soon, he would have to address many matters presented by officials. The first task was to inform other family members, who hadn't yet arrived, about the tragedy. The procedure was strictly followed, beginning with notifying the new heir to the throne. One staff member recalled the surreal moment when the king picked up the phone to contact his eldest son, starting with, "Hello, it's me." For a moment, he hesitated, reluctant to convey directly through the operator that he was now king. Prince Charles wanted to be the first to inform his eldest son of the sad news, so he dialed his number and said, "It's me." In this manner, he shared the news with Prince William, the Duke of York, and the Earl of Wessex, who were then en route from Aberdeen Airport to the castle. Lady Sarah Chatto, the Queen's beloved niece, arrived in tears, and the Duke of Sussex was still in the air, unable to reach the ground. In London, staff quickly responded to the news. Shortly after the Queen's passing, the new head of the dynasty ordered a temporary halt to all work on the large-scale renovation of Buckingham Palace. Project management teams were sent home, and the office where they worked was converted into an improvised planning room for the funeral. Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby was vacationing in northern France with his wife when he received the first message from the palace. He realized the urgent need to return to Britain. "I dashed around the house, realizing that the end of Queen Elizabeth II was really near. The realization was bewildering," the Archbishop later recalled. Soon, he received a call from his chief of staff, who conveyed the brief phrase, "London Bridge." On the 9th of September, 2022, a speech from the King and Queen Consort addressed those gathered outside Buckingham Palace. Meanwhile, at Balmoral Castle, Sir Edward Young and Sir Clive Alderton began preparing a detailed plan for the coming days. A footman appeared with a particularly important red box. Sir Edward, expecting nothing unusual, opened it and found inside a sealed message from Elizabeth II for her successor, as well as her personal instructions. The box also contained a list of candidates for the Order of Merit with the Queen's comments. The Order of Merit was a special royal honor, personally bestowed by the Queen, consisting of 24 selected members. Elizabeth II always approached confirming this list with great seriousness. Just 2 days before her death, she approved these documents, making them the last she signed. On her deathbed, the Queen remained true to her duties until the very end. Queen Elizabeth II and Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, may initially seem like distinct figures in the history of the British royal family. However, a deeper analysis reveals many traits that connect them. Throughout her reign, Elizabeth II consistently demonstrated her dedication to duty. Her motto was "Never complain, never explain," which reflected her approach to serving the nation. Leading the country for decades, she adhered to principles of stability and remained faithful to traditions. Since joining the royal family, Kate Middleton has shown undeniable responsibility and dedication to her assigned duties. She actively engages in charity work and represents the royal family at official events, all while maintaining professionalism and resilience. Queen Elizabeth II was also known for her unique sense of fashion. Her choice of bright colors and attention to detail became symbols of her elegance. Meanwhile, Kate Middleton is renowned for her refined style, often receiving admiration for her stylish outfits and fashion choices. Her style, which combines restraint and elegance, has become a source of inspiration for many people around the world. Kate Middleton skillfully pairs exquisite outfits from fashion brands with elements that reflect royal traditions. This thoughtful combination allows her to remain both modern and committed to age-old customs. We would love for you to share your opinion in the comments. How similar do you think Kate Middleton is to Queen Elizabeth II? What qualities and traits of these remarkable women do you admire most? Let's discuss their life paths and how they inspire those around them with their example. Additionally, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay updated with fresh and exciting content related to the royal family and other current topics. Thank you for your continued support and attention. We look forward to seeing you in our next videos, where even more captivating content awaits you.